We're actually right now in the Kyoto district of Sapporo. Sapporo was relatively undamaged, unscathed by the earthquake, but this is the only area in Sapporo that was heavily damaged by the earthquake. As you can see right behind me, the ground moved up and down like waves, and so the houses here have tilted. But the epicenter of the earthquake is the small town of Atsuma, about an hour or an hour and a half drive from here, and that's where one person is still missing. When Tomoko Hiraga learned that people had died in the town of Atsuma after last Thursday's magnitude 6.7 earthquake, she had hoped none of them would be a friend. She traveled to Atsuma, only to find out that she had in fact lost a friend.
He treated me like one of his daughters. He would take me out to eat. He even helped me when I moved from Atsuma to Sapporo.
Tomoko isn't the only one mourning. Many here were buried alive after the earthquake triggered landslides. This year, Japan has been hit by one disaster after another. There were those deadly floods in western Japan, a heat wave, and a typhoon that was the strongest in 25 years. A few days after that typhoon, this earthquake that has devastated this small town in Hokkaido. Considering the string of disasters, the Japanese government's response to the earthquake, particularly in Atsuma, was swift. Thousands of search and rescue workers were deployed in the immediate aftermath.
Soldiers, police, and firefighters worked around the clock in the first 72 hours after the disaster. That's how we were able to manage it. However, there have been no survivors, and that's unfortunate.
Unfortunate indeed, as many survivors may have lost a family or friend in a small town where people are likely to know each other. You know, Wang Guan, not a lot of people wanted to talk to us about their experience during the earthquake and their loss, but a lot of people in the evacuation center in Atsuma, where we were yesterday, they were very visibly shaken. I saw this teenage girl who just suddenly sat on the floor and stared blankly at a distance, and so there's definitely that trauma still among survivors of the earthquake in Atsuma. Wang Guan.
Sure, Barnaby. We know that the Japanese many Japanese residents are not particularly outspoken. Have you talked to any of them? How are they coping with this disaster?
Well, you know, at least they have roofs over their heads. More than 1,000 people are in that evacuation center in Atsuma. Thousands more are in evacuation centers across Hokkaido, and Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, in fact, visited one of these evacuation centers yesterday. So these survivors who are in evacuation centers are very well provided for by both the local government and the national government. We also saw a lot of volunteers serving lunch and snacks to survivors. So they're pretty well provided for and taken care of in these evacuation centers. Of course, the trauma, that's something that they will have to deal with in the long term.